friends. Oh, what is up? Let's talk. Buckle up. I'm about to run my mouth. Here we go. Let's talk about Palantir. Let's talk about BigBear. I just talked about him, but we can talk about him again. Let's talk about Sofi real fast. Not a long time, but buckle up. I'm gonna talk here from them. I don't know how long. You guys like long videos, but I don't know. We'll see what I can get going here. So with that, let's break right into Palantir, because we've already talked about Palantir, but we're going to kind of just go over a little more here with Palantir and what's going on. So fundamentally, the market, it's doing well. It's doing well. It's honestly, it's went the complete opposite way of what everybody thought it was going to do. Of course, with these Trump tariffs coming into play, everyone was like, oh, the market's going to crash for sure. I mean, there's no way the market's going to survive. And the market did. It was scared at first. Monday was a rough day, no doubt about it. But, then a lot of these tariffs, they got pushed back, retalked, deals, stuff like that. Now, obviously, I don't think we're out of the weeds here. I think there's still going to be some more stuff coming, that we're going to have to deal with. But all in all, I mean, listen, I'm not pulling out of this market. I'm putting money in the market right now, for sure. I mean, if anything, I buy ETFs still every week, where I just constantly just like shoving money into a vault. That's kind of what I do, and then making positions here or there, but. Talking about Palantir, here's what we know. Obviously, I don't want to talk about too much, because unless you've been living under a rock the last 24 hours, you probably know that Palantir came out with quarterlies, and they were banging. I mean, they were like, oh my God. Oh my God. They were everything and more. The last Q3 was like, oh my God. It was huge. Q4, double, oh my God. It was everything and more. Everything and more. So, right now, listen, you know what the crazy part is? We're going to watch a video here in a moment with Dan Ives, because if you haven't seen this, you need to see this. And obviously, Dan Ives, this is going to be a biased video with a lot of these stocks, but Dan Ives, obviously, is very bullish on Palantir, and he's got good reason to, because he's been bullish on Palantir since $7, and he's literally saying he believes that Palantir is going to be $1 trillion market cap here within the future. Whoa, imagine you're buying Palantir right now at these levels, and soon enough, within a handful of years here, it's going to turn into $1 trillion company. $1 trillion company. I just said yesterday, where I was like, we're very close, potentially this year, to maybe by Q3, maybe sooner. By Q4 of 2025 here, sometime this year, it could be Q2, who knows. Palantir is going to start having $1 billion quarterlies. It's not going to be this 700 million, 800, it's going to be $1 billion. They made $1 billion that last quarterly. Now, obviously, that's still not a lot of money when we talk about these chip stocks, these, Nvidias, but we're not talking about that. We're not talking, Palantir is still very new to the game here, but it's growing so fast with who and what it is. And this is one thing that Palantir's talked about. Like they haven't made like a huge sales team. They haven't, gone out and even really what they've said, look for customers. Everyone's coming to them because they know who they are and what they're delivering. And listen, Palantir is delivering because it has the money coming in right now. So, like I've said, Dan Ives believes that we're going to see Palantir enter into a Oracle situation here in 2025, where, Palantir obviously is over this $100 mark right now, but there is a lot of potential for Palantir to be, maybe 6 months from now, maybe $150. Okay. Now, obviously, there's people that hear me say that and they go, yeah, I definitely could see that. I believe that if we keep seeing these numbers, deals continue to just, fall into the laps here of, the company, and investors just continue to praise and say good things and continue to buy the stock. This is a situation where, we're already at $100, and, I was surprised. I'll be honest today. I was surprised. I thought Palantir might have a little bit of a sell-off today. It didn't. It kept this $100. Now, obviously, we could see a little bit of a sell-off, but the market's so weird. The market is so hard to read right now because, all of us, everyone was saying like, hey, this is probably going to be a rough week in the market. This might be a rough week. The markets went, we're doing fine. These tariffs, it's okay. Listen, We are in a moment right now where people need to just suck it up and go like, hey, I don't want to miss what's coming here. Now, could tragedy strike here and we hit something in the market that's bad? Of course, we're always there's going to be a recession. There's going to be a pullback. Those things are going to come. But it's about putting your foot in the dirt right now and making a position. Listen, there's people that made a position in Palantir at $50 and they were like, oh my God, like I don't know if I should do this. Man, how glad are you that you made a position in Palantir at $50, $60, $70, $80 for God's sakes? You know, Palantir went from $80 to $100 like that. So imagine with this good news that we're seeing right now, and this is a very real situation that could occur because Palantir is famous for doing this. We've got the good news right now of Q4 being wrapped up. It was excellent, amazing, biggest quarterly they've ever had, and there's more to come. And they've already said, hey, we expect what we were expecting 2025. We're actually going to beat that. As of right now, with what we know, we're going to beat that. But what we could see here, we could see Palantir just come out with a memo like, hey, we just got another deal for, X amount of money. Okay. So that happened all of 2024 where we were like, Palantir would get these deals and it would be like, whoa, oh my God. Like, well, they're obviously not going to, we were having this conversation in 2023, 2022, when Palantir just kept getting these deals. And this is before Palantir really blew up. Palantir just kept getting these deals, and then it just kept like compounding and compounding. And that's been the story of Palantir here, that they just keep compounding deals. And it's just the money just keeps getting thicker here. So, a lot of this is news that I put up yesterday, and obviously, you can take what you want from it. But, Palantir, they've got adjusted cash flow right now of $500 million. I mean, they've got money in the bank. They're sitting pretty. They're happy as can be, okay? And it's a beautiful situation for you as an investor. So bullet points of what I'm trying to say here is, I am on the side of I'm still very bullish on Palantir. Listen, usually when companies start to show trouble, it's definitely not when they're in such a growth season right now. Why would Palantir produce such high levels of growth at this moment? And what we know is that compounding of deals, especially these government contract deals. These government contract deals, they're like for 4 to 5 years of just continuing money. Okay, so plus everything else they have, and plus all the new stuff they just get. Okay. This is why it's so important to go like, well, it's so important not to listen to people go like, well, I mean, they've hit their growth. They're done. Listen, Palantir has something special that a lot of other stocks don't have right now. It's hype. It's the aroma of FOMO. My friends, FOMO will make you so much money. It will make you so much money in the market. And I used to be one of those people where I was like, these people chasing AMC, these people chasing GameStop. And obviously I am not comparing AMC. I'm not comparing Palantir to AMC, GameStop. But what I am saying, just like we saw with Nvidia last year, as it kept getting more expensive, it just kept getting more expensive on top of the already expensive, because people are like, oh my God. And then they were producing quarterlies and people were like, oh my God. And people were paying outrageous prices for just to be a part of the club. And then Nvidia said, hey, we're going to do a stock split. People went, oh my God. Let's get buying it. We're in a phase right now where Palantir is like, people are going like, oh my God. So to think that Palantir from this point on, could we see some pullback? Sure. I hope we do, to be honest. This sounds crazy to say, but I would love to see Palantir go back to $80 because I would buy a little more. I would buy it in another account at $80. But we could be in a situation where it holds this $90 mark, okay? Palantir is in a very dangerous situation for you as an investor because it's just had these amazing quarterlies, and on top of that, they could get some more deals here. It's a very dangerous situation to go like, oh, Palantir, it'll probably settle here at this like $90, $80, $70 mark. A buddy of mine told me it's probably going to go back down to $70. I hope your buddy's right, to be honest, but that's because I'm selfish and I want to buy more because I know it's going to have an amazing year. So friends, listen, like I've said, sometimes the green is just sometimes the grass is just greener on the other side, and it's okay to accept that. People that have been hurt in the market, listen, you can't live off your fear and hurt. It will destroy you, okay? If there ever was a company to put 10, 20, 100, $1,000 in and feel confident about it, I would tell people Palantir, okay? If I had somebody who said like, hey, like a personal friend in my life where they came to me and they said like, listen, I want to get into the stock market, but I want to be a part of something that's actually growing and I can see a return in within the next 3 to 5 years. Palantir is and has been one of those stocks. I literally just had somebody message me yesterday and they said, oh my God, what happened to Palantir? And this is not a person that even follows the market. They messaged me almost like Monday through Friday and they're like, what do I need to buy? What do I need to do? This person messaged me and went like, oh my God, like I just looked at my account. I just got a notification about that Palantir stock. What happened? And I was like, the quarterlies were insane. And they said like, what's a quarterly? Anyway, listen, Palantir is a stock that I trust, okay? And I trust that we're about to have an even bigger year. So I want you to see this Dan Ives video. Let's look at this Dan Ives video.
Another check on Palantir, which is now up 16%. They had a beat on the top line, a beat on the bottom line, strong guidance for full year 2025 free cash flow, better than expected as well. It's a stock that has divided analysts, even as it soared nearly 400% in the past 12 months. Only 3 analysts have buy ratings. We have one of them with us here today, Dan Ives, Wedbush Global Head of Technology Research. He has an outperform and a street high $90 price target. On the other side of this debate, though, is Brent Thill. He's tech sector lead at Jefferies. He has an underperform on Palantir and a $28 price target. It's good to have you both here. And Brent, I'm actually going to start with you because in the shareholder letter that Alex Karp puts out every quarter, he basically called this a new phase as AI adoption accelerates and with it sales growth, which is what we're seeing at Palantir. And I spoke to Karp and he said it to me like this. He said, quote, say you're a PE company, you acquire a large insurance company and you wanted to change the cost of revenue, meaning how can you have fewer people doing the same amount of underwriting and have the same number of customers? That was a multi-year project, like 3 to 5. Now it's a 1-quarter cost that's completely different. And if you do it and the company down the street doesn't, you're going to have very different margins and very different revenue. And then he goes on from there. But we've talked about it for a while now that 2025 could be the year where you see this application layer actually take effect and you see corporate America begin to realize the benefits of the investments they've made on AI. Palantir seems to be very far ahead based on the earnings we just got. Does this change your thesis?
Look, they've had great fundamentals. I think this is a question of valuation. Again, you'd have to grow 5 years in a row at 50% and the stock would still trade at 15 times revenue. So it's not that we're arguing the fundamentals. Kudos to them and great call by Dan on the stock. Our view is more about liking other names. And remember, 50% of this base is retail and insiders. There's no other software company like this. It's the lowest asked about question of any institutional investor because barely any institutional investors own it. And so I go back to, we've all seen what happened to Snowflake at 50 times revenue. We've all seen what happened to Datadog and others. And maybe Palantir is different. Kudos to them. And I agree with you. It's getting to the application layer and they're in a great spot. So I'm not sitting here attacking the fundamentals. The fundamentals are great. Ours is largely focused on the stock and looking at what's happened to investors in the last 20 years when you chase things at 50 times revenue. It doesn't end well. And none of them have.
But they're producing massive quarterlies.
Part of it's we're just scarred from that. And maybe we're totally wrong on that. And so I acknowledge, we're wrong, but I also acknowledge, like, you got to look at the history and look at the fundamental analysis. So that's kind of what we're sticking to right now.
Dan, I want to get your response to that because valuation has been raised by a number of folks here. One of the other things that came up in my conversation with Karp is the fact that, this is how he put it, he said, we don't have the right jokes, the right suits, the right steak dinners. We've we're never exactly the right people at the right time, unfortunately, and that's probably the biggest limit to our growth. Wrong people, wrong time, but right products.
Yep.
Sort of getting at this idea that they tend to be contrarian and that they don't have a marketing team, and yet they're growing. You've called it the Messi of AI, but the Messi of AI does look expensive based on some valuation metrics. Is it right for a pullback here, or does it keep going?
Look, I think this was a historical quarter. And ultimately, look, the bears, they were bearish at $10, hated 40, and despised it at 100, right? And I think they can see AI in the spreadsheets. When we do the checks that we've done for Palantir, I think it's the next Oracle, it's the next Salesforce. I think this is a company, when it comes to AI revolution, this is really front and center is what's going to be one of the huge beneficiaries there.
Do they need to pull the marketing lever here? Do they need to build out that team, or it's not necessary?
I think the scary thing is with no direct sales force and basically more inbound, this is what they've done in terms of what these types of numbers. You start to look out the next 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, I think this is ultimately, this could be $1 trillion market cap when we look out for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And as Brett's talked about, I mean, institutional has obviously been very negative on it. But as we've talked, I think many have missed the biggest historical growth names the last 20 years because they focus on valuation.
Listen, me, I know what I'm doing. I'm not telling you, forcing anyone to buy Palantir, okay? You do what you want to do, but I do think that we're going to see more growth this year with Palantir. The question is how fast, how high can we see the next push in the Palantir? And I do think Palantir is entering in this realm right now where it's already pricing in Q1 of 2025 here because that's what it's been doing. It's been pricing in things like that. So just touching on Big Bear here, I just made a whole humongous video about Big Bear, so I don't want to talk about it too much because there's not a lot of new things to say here. But Big Bear has been, it's been moving here. And it's doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. So listen, I'm not trying to say I'm a guru or I have a magic crystal ball. I wish I did, Lord knows. But it's done what I thought it was doing. This is what I talk about, following these breadcrumbs. So right now, Big Bear, the good news is that new CEO, great for the company, amazing it couldn't work out any better. Friends with Trump, ties to Trump, administration, defense, what we want, contracts. Big Bear just received huge defense contract lasting 4 or 5 years, I think it is. And then just good things happening. And plus, it's getting recognized by the investor community. People are looking at Big Bear, okay? So there's stuff festering around it. Now, what I'm talking about with these breadcrumbs here, I dare say, on November 22nd, Big Bear ran up to $2.45 here. And people were like, okay, well, that's pretty interesting. And Big Bear has had, big problems in the past. It's an old company, but it's newer to the market here is essentially what I'm trying to say here. It's only been on the market since 2021. Now, Big Bear here hit that $2 spot there. Then had some sell-off. Then it had a huge push December 9th to $3.66. Then had it sell-off, but it had sell-off back to that $2.50 range. Then a small little push-up back to $3.40. Then another big decline back down to a $2.82. Okay? See what's happening here? We're seeing steps being made here. Then we had a huge push to $4.81. That's the biggest one we've had here in a long time with Big Bear here. Okay, that was December 30th. Okay, Trump comes in office, yay. Then he's like, and the market's like, hey, I don't know what's going on here. Essentially, January 14th, the market, that's when we start to see some sell-off in the market here. Things start to happen. Okay. It sells off to $2.98. Okay? Then we had another huge push up to $4, then to $4.41. On top of that, now we're cooking. Now it's like, okay, if you're not catching on, look closer. Now the new sell-off and the new bottom is $3.70. Okay. See what's happening here? Now the new push, the new high is $4.91, and even after hours here, it's $4.87 after hours here. But anyway, it's closing the day out at $4.91. So we're having a staircase be built here. Okay, that's what's happening here. Now the question is, where can the staircase make it? Where does the staircase fall off? Where does it end? I think Big Bear is easily looking for a $5 to $6 range. Quarterlies are coming up here in March. That's 4 weeks away. We still got some time coming up here. The interesting part about these quarterlies, what's the time-wise of these, Trump gives his State of the Union speech March 4th, I think it is, 4th. I expect Trump in that speech, first of all, it's probably going to be like 3 hours long because, my God, he can rap. He's going to talk about stocks. He's going to talk about the stock market. He's going to talk about AI. He's going to talk about that $500 billion deal they're wanting to put in AI. He's going to talk about good things that's going to, what's it going to do? It's going to pump up the market. Now, Big Bear, we're expecting to see a little bit better quarterlies. I don't think they're going to meet expectations of these quarters. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't think they've done enough to even meet expectations. I'm just hoping it at least gets close. Really, what I'm looking here for Big Bear is like later in the year to see Kevin, the new CEO, what he can do, see if they get some more government contracts, bigger contracts in general, just more of them. They start compounding. That's really what I'm looking at. I'm looking like later in the year here, but I am curious to see how Q4 wraps up here. So with that, what I'm trying to say is, if there was a moment where Big Bear could run to 5 to 6, I don't know, maybe $8 range. It could be then. Just off hype, just off FOMO, just off Trump pushing the market's going to be on fire in a good way probably then, because Trump's going to be pushing it up, and then these quarterlies will come out with Big Bear. So it could be the ultimate wave of just hype coming here with it. Just all the right things line up. Obviously, like I said, I don't want to give my speech too much on Big Bear, but I do want to say Big Bear is a wild card this year. It is a situation where may work, may not work, and obviously why I have Jim Cramer on here. Love Jim. I'm not trying to say bad about Jim. I love Jim. I love his show, Mad Money. But Jim came out here recently with all the hype around Big Bear. He said, he's going to make a pass on it. He doesn't like the fundamentals where it's at, and I get it. This is why I speak so with a double-edged sword right now with Big Bear, where I'm like, hey, this is my play. This is my wild card of 2025. There's no guarantee this is going to work. It's just trying to follow some breadcrumbs here, and this is why I started buying it at $2, because I was like, okay, things are starting to pick up here. It's very attached to the Palantir AI situation, what it does as a company. That's becoming thicker with, companies wanting that. Could be some competition later in the year. Could be some partnerships. Who knows? So, yeah, it's an interesting play. But like I said, I'm not expecting Big Bear to come out this year with $100 million quarterly. Okay. As of right now, I would just settle for a $60 million, $50 million quarterly would be fantastic. But there's still, it's very small over here, very small in Big Bear land. So, yeah, friends, that's kind of my thing on Big Bear. I'm buying it. So, I know I'm sounding harsh, but I'm sounding harsh because do your own research on Big Bear. It's a wild card. There's no guarantee in buying it so high at these prices right now. I don't know the wiggle room, how much meat is left on the bone. I'm a little, and this is the thing about Sound. I'm going to talk about, everybody's been talking about SoundHound. I'll talk about SoundHound here soon, but I was buying SoundHound at around $3, but I was buying SoundHound around $3 more confidently because SoundHound was getting crazy deals. I was on here with a megaphone, look at SoundHound, because they were just getting deal. And then Nvidia put that huge amount of money in them, and then Nvidia put another huge amount of money in them later in the year, and then they got another huge automobile deal. So SoundHound, I was a lot more confident about, and I was yeah, SoundHound can go to 10 to 15, maybe $20. That was a no-brainer. Big Bear is a little more tricky right now. If it went to $7, I'd be like, whoa, that's a lot right now. That's a lot. That's a win. Okay, that doesn't sound like much, but if you were buying it at $2, $3, $4, $5, maybe, it's a win if it goes to $7. Okay, that's a nice bump up. Obviously, you're wanting to get in cheap as you can, but to me, that's a win. So that's me yapping my gums here on Big Bear. It's my wild card. It's my wild card of 2025. And last but not least is SoFi. So, here's the situation, bullet point thesis on SoFi right now is that I'm still holding SoFi. I'm not selling out of SoFi. Okay, people are like, are you holding SoFi? Are you selling SoFi? I am holding SoFi. There is no reason to sell SoFi for me right now as an investor. I believe SoFi they had an amazing 2024, the biggest year they've ever had as a company. I believe 2025 will be even bigger, especially with what's going on right now with how things are changing financially right now in our system. I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity for SoFi to really push in on bigger numbers. And SoFi is. It's showing all that. With each quarterly, it's growing with people opening accounts, their inflow of money. Everything's growing. Every quarterly is producing bigger and bigger numbers and blowing away expectation of what they're doing. So SoFi it's in a very real realm right now of growth. And I really do believe that we are in a situation right now where by the summer, SoFi could easily be at $25 to $30. I really do believe that, because by then we should have two more quarterlies out, probably by July. Q1, Q2 will probably, at least Q2 will probably be out by then. Q1 obviously, but Q2 we should be there at that point. I expect them to be good. There's no reason at this point why SoFi should start having trouble. The growth is so steady right now that I think we're just going to see a continuation of them to grow. And this is what they've said. SoFi has come out here and they said, hey, we're just going to be honest with you. We're doing great. We just had a huge year in 2025. We expect 2024. We expect 2025 to be even bigger and do even more. And SoFi right now is in this situation where, like many other company stocks here, it is but yet one big deal away, one big partnership, one big thing happening to where it seals the deal with it going to $20 and holding that $20 position. I really do think we're in the realm of that happening. And like I said, when Trump gives the State of the Union coming up here in about 4 weeks, I'm very curious to see how SoFi reacts. I think SoFi is going to probably trail back up into a $17 to $18 range. Absolutely. So to me, SoFi, even buying it at, $14, $15, $16, I think if you're holding it for the next 5 to 10 years, which I think you should be, because I think there's a lot to come here. I think SoFi is going to be in the realm of, we're talking about dividends later in the future. I think we're going to be talking about if SoFi can continue with its technology, its growth, its account growth, credit card deals, loan deals, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a household name. It's going to be a stock that gets very expensive and could potentially in the near future maybe produce a stock split, potentially, maybe. It's kind of hard to say that on a banking stock. Kind of hard to say that, depending on how crazy it gets. But the fun situation about that conversation is that SoFi has never been expensive. So if SoFi was to run up here within the next 2 to 3 years, let's say SoFi goes to $100 a share, and people are saying that, I'm not the only one saying that. Let's just say SoFi within a year and 6 months from now, SoFi is like at $80 to $100. Okay. Maybe it's sooner than that. We're pushing out here. SoFi as a bank, as a stock, they probably at that moment, I could see them saying hey, we're going to do a 3-to-1 split. Now, why would SoFi do a split and that's not a lot of money, okay, obviously, but most banks, they like to keep their stock under $100 because it's just kind of it's the aroma, the feeling that you see out there with a lot of these banks. So I could definitely see them doing a split here to keep their, because once it goes, usually when a stock goes to $100, it'll just keep flushing over to 110, 120, 30. It'll keep going here. So I could definitely see them getting, if you can wait out long enough, hold out long enough, and get caught up in a stock split with them in the future here, and then on top of that, get in a dividend where they start releasing dividends. Man, you're in it now. I mean, you've just got money flowing in here. Imagine, like, say you got 100 shares right now, and it does a 3-to-1 split. Well, you just tripled that. So with that conversation, think about things like that. Think about things like that with SoFi right now. It's a very interesting. It's fun. It's cool, but it's a very interesting concept to where. This could be really life-changing for people in the future, the near future, if they're willing to hold on to it. As long as Palantir SoFi here keeps continuing in the trajectory as where it's at right now, I'm not going to sell out of this. I think it's absolutely ludicrous to sell out of this right now. They're in a growth pattern. We have seen no signs of pullback. It's like Palantir. There are no signs of pullback. And listen, if something's dangerous, if something's bad, I'm going to talk about it. It's like Big Bear. I just told you, like, hey, Big Bear is dangerous. That's a dangerous stock because there's no care. If those quarterlies don't produce well on Big Bear, it'll probably go back down to $2. I'm fully aware of that. So, SoFi, I don't feel that way. SoFi is going to at least hit expectations on quarterlies here, if anything, for Q1 of 2025. So, friends, that is my yap. I don't know how long I was yapping here, but for the people that love long videos, there you go. My voice is gone. Friends, it's Tuesday. Be Wednesday tomorrow, whenever you're listening to this. I really do appreciate you guys. You sweet people that give me tips, stuff like that, and say thank you. That means the world to me. I really do appreciate that. That stuff is. Listen, when I started this channel, whenever I did years back, I could have never imagined having like over 10,000 people to follow me yapping my gums here about this journey I've been on with investing. And it's a learning lesson, man. We all got to listen. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes good plays here, there, bad plays here, there. But yeah, you can't do this stuff alone. You shouldn't do this stuff alone. It's not fun to do it alone. It's good to, be a community and find, like, what are people thinking? What are they doing? I'm obviously going to tell you if there's something I don't like or feel comfortable with. I'm going to do it. But if there's something like, hey, I feel very comfortable with this. I'm nothing special. I'm just a guy who's had some luck, and I see patterns in the market. I see patterns in stocks, companies, and what they do. And that's what I try to follow a lot of the time is patterns. Patterns are a huge way to make money. Breadcrumbs, man, 100% in the market. Friends, take care. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.